Hello, friends. Welcome to a new series of Trials of Fire. I've recently found this game on Steam, although it's been out for about a year and a half now. I think about halfway through 2019 in early access. And I I don't know how I came across it. I think it was just something that popped up and I took a look at it. I watched some gameplay, and about 5 minutes in, I knew that this was a game for me. So here we are. I figured I played around a little bit, and I found how to, after talking to the developers a little bit on their Discord channel right here, um, they showed me how to kind of delete my save file so that I could start all over again and start from the very beginning. Because I think it's important. There's some things that unlock, and I want to kind of share that with you guys. So I think the music is a little loud, so let's first deal with that. That's better. So, Ultra. Okay. So this is it's kind of a mixture of a bunch of different games that I really like. I think one of the first things that people are going to notice is that it has some similarities with Slay the Spire, but it is a completely different game. It's not a redo of Slay the Spire at all whatsoever. There's a map that you move around in. There's random events that you'll pop up into, and there's an actual story that you have to unlock or unfold throughout the gameplay, through traveling along the map. I'm going to choose tutorial. Now, I've already kind of gone through the tutorial, but I just want to show you real quick how this is going to play out. So the combat intro, I'm not going to read these. You can pause if you want to read them, but basically it's turn-based, and we use cards to move around the map and to either to attack. To win the battle, we have to defeat all of the enemies. Everything your heroes can do in battle is driven by the skill decks they have in their hand. So we have a deck of 8 cards with 3 cards in our hand. Okay, so it's suggesting we play advance, and we want to move here. So this is done by dragging this out here and then moving to any of these spots. It's only going to show this one for now, and what it's done is it's given us some action points that we can spend on these cards here. Swipe costs 1, so we could use swipe, but we're not in melee range. So it's suggesting let's take a power shot. So this is what it's explaining here. So it's called willpower, the action points. So we have 1, but we want 2. So in order to do that, we can drag 1 to the willpower thing here. I'm not sure what this would be called. The shrine, there it is. The recycle shrine. So we can recycle cards into the shrine, and that each card, it doesn't matter how much it costs, will give us a point, or an action point, or willpower. So now we have 2. How to use this is just to drag it out, and then choose the target. Another thing to keep in mind here, it might show us later, but we'll be dealing 3 damage. There's no modifier to that, it's just straight up 3 damage, so it's kind of puzzly to figure out how you're going to perform the damage, how you're going to move around the map. There's no modifiers. There are modifiers later on, but there isn't an after modifier that's going to change the amount of damage once you know what it is, what's written on. Okay. So at the end of the turn, then we come down here, click there, and now it's the enemy's turn. They'll move, gain 1 willpower, and that was it. So I see. They're only doing 1 card per round for now. So power shot. If we can hit it with this, then it's done. So we'll drag these 2 up. And then take the shot. Goes. So we've defeated the Charred Warrior. But there's another. So in this case, melee attacks. Okay. The other way to perform movement is by using the cards in our hand, but we need to have some points up here as well. So basically, we can use something like any card may be used. Oh, well, I'm trying to use this, but apparently it wants me to use that. Okay. So we will, because we've discarded a card from her hand, then we can, the warrior, there we go. From the warrior's hand, we can move her. Now we have 1 point that we can use for anything for either player, either character. But in this case, because she's discarded a card, she can move. So she has 2 points of movement for that. But we want an additional point. You can do this by recycling the block card. I mean, I would rather use it, but we'll go by what's saying. So if you don't have enough willpower to play the attack card, however, willpower is a resource that is shared by all heroes. That's kind of what I was saying before. So if you click on it, you can redo what you've done. By dragging a card up here and then clicking on the shrine, it'll undo, basically. So we can recycle one of the advance cards, which is kind of not a good idea, but now we can do an attack for 2. Now you have seen 2 of the uses of recycling a skill card. Powers. Powers are basically, well, they're powers that you can put on any of your characters. It doesn't matter which character they're coming from, they can go onto another character. We'll drag the offensive stance onto the hunter. Okay. So now it shows this 4 basically is how much. It'll probably explain it. I don't want to say it and then it'll explain it later, but. Right, there it is. Has its own health or resilience, and that's this 4 right there. That is reduced whenever the character takes damage. The card's resilience is depleted, the power will be discarded. I guess I can read some of this. Like movement, there are 2 different ways to protect your heroes. Many cards provide defense directly, but in addition, any card can be used to protect a hero. Player block card. Okay. So in this case, we can just drop that anywhere. It will go to that player. Can't use those cards for others. So we have 4 points of armor, and we're going to lose half of that at the end of at the start of the next round or turn. Okay, so it wants us to get rid of that card. Notice the +2 here. So that's basically saying that 2 defense is going to be, if I don't move him, then you get +2 per card that you discard for them. So there it is. I'm still new to the game. I've played a little bit, but some of the... Yeah, so they can have some powers as well. I've had some unlocks. I just figured I wanted to start over. I still am pretty new to the game. I think I've played 3 or 4 scenarios. So I'm still new. There's some things that I don't fully understand, but it is a fun game nonetheless. Once we get out onto the map, you'll see pretty quickly. Okay. So now we have a third character here, and this is typically what we'll have is three characters. Any skill card can be recycled to either move a hero, provide extra willpower point for playing more powerful action cards, or to provide a little bit of defense. Playing cards is key to making the most out of each turn, right? Okay. So, first, it looks like because we're here in melee range, let's grab some defense. This one is a good power to have, and because we have 5 defense, it's probably not going to be able to get through the 5 defense. So the resilience that they're talking about is that number 4. That's after the defense is removed, so that's actual hit points of damage. Once they take 4 hit points of damage, then that power is removed. Some of them have more hit points of damage, or more resilience. Some have less. But this is going to give us 1 willpower at the start of your turn. And we can do that again for somebody else. Someone back here, for instance. So what we can do is, another thing to keep an eye on is that little... Oh, there's another one down here. So when I put the cursor over the elementalist, for instance, there's going to be an eye that appears over that. That means she can see it. Same thing, the Charred Warrior can see both the Hunter and the Elementalist, as you can see that little eye that appears. So what we kind of want to do is get away from here. Let's both move up here, maybe. We won't be using swipe, so we can get rid of that. Let's move up. Now she can see both of them. Let's see. It'd be nice to use power attack. As you can see, there's a couple asterisks, one on each side of the 4. So another thing to keep an eye on is underneath the Hunter card, it shows is like innate power. It's lethal. The first attack on a single target each turn deals +2 damage to the Hunter. For the Elementalist, the first card you play each turn costs -1 willpower. And the Warrior, once per turn after you play a card and are adjacent to an enemy, defend 2 on all other heroes. So in this case, if she was to play a card, which we want to play swipe, then we'll get +2 defense on everyone else. So let's drop this. We'll drop Fan Flame. Now we can perform an attack 2 here, which gets rid of stock power. Let's also get rid of Force Field so we can use Power Shot here. Now they're both at 4 health points. That's exactly what I was just saying. So talents are once per turn abilities that will trigger automatically. And this little gem here, I never saw this before, but it shows if we've used it or not, I think is what that said. I clicked a little too far. So now we're getting 2. This is saying right here, bonus willpower, because we both have powers of prepare. So now we don't have to throw cards away in order to gain a couple points, which is nice. Another thing to keep in mind is there is like a what's that called? A zone of control around each enemy. So when you move up to it, you'll stop if you're adjacent to it, and you could have more movement. So if I want to move here, you know, I can't because I would have to move 1 and then 2. Or I can move out here. So I can move away freely, but moving adjacent to one or up to one, an enemy, you'll stop. We might as well use prepare again, and we can put it on the 3rd. So now all 3 of them will get the 3rd willpower next round. Let's get rid of defend. And we'll use power shot out here. That'll kill that one. And another thing to keep in mind too. So we'll move 1, 2, 3, 4. And so because 2 of my two allies are adjacent to one enemy, and there's no other enemy adjacent to either of us, when I perform an attack 2 here, we'll get a combo strike. So each flanking enemy, or each flanking ally, will also perform an attack 1 on the enemy. Pull up here, and then we can keep 1 card, so I'll do that. We'll keep one of those cards now. So it's going to perform a melee 2 attack. Okay. So as you can see, prepare here says 4, prepare here says 2. So she lost the 2 shield, and then, or defense, and then took 2 more damage to her actual hit points. So now it prepares down at 2. It makes more sense when you're kind of playing along. From it will, you'll see it more clearly. Just make this attack. It's dead. There. So that's the tutorial for the combat. Just to get an idea, I guess. I actually haven't done that tutorial. I did want to show that to you. There's another bit of tutorial that comes up throughout the gameplay. So what I'll do, we're only about 20 minutes in. Let's choose an adventure. We can choose difficulty. I'm just going to choose medium for this. Yep, medium. And we'll just go with water gem. So this is the interesting thing here. And I haven't seen this, and okay, maybe I haven't played a lot of these kinds of deck builder games. I've played a couple, and I really like Slay the Spire. The copies of Slay the Spire I haven't liked. They haven't done it well enough. Or they're just outright copies, and there's no reason to play those other ones. But what I like about this game is that it's scenario driven. So they're called quests, I guess. You can choose trial by fire or trial of fire. I'm always going to say trial by fire, but it's trial of fire. This is just An infinitely replayable custom quest where the challenges are different every time. So this is just a random quest. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's this one or this one. It's just uh, a quest of that's randomly created, and yeah, it's infinitely replayable, as they say. We have underneath here is lore quests of Water Gem and God Hunter. I haven't played this one yet. I have played Water Gem, and this is what we're going to play today. And it basically just says, 90 to 120 minutes. It's a starter. And retrieve a living world relic to help save your dying people. So it doesn't actually show what we're going to be getting into. Our three characters are Hunter, Warrior, Elementalist. But you can see here that there are other ones that unlock. So I've unlocked a couple of these. I don't know which ones I've unlocked or how I unlocked them, because I didn't really understand this at the time. But then there's also some items here that I'm not sure how we get these. It might be driven by the quest. Yeah, I'm not sure. So, right. So we're just going to click begin the journey. There's a lot of text. I like the fact that this is a book. This is a story-driven, um, uh, even a kind of a role-playing kind of game that is combat, that's card-driven and combat. Outside of combat, there's a lot of decisions and choices, and it tells you what the percentages are, and you'll see that pretty soon. I guess I can read the story. There's going to be a lot of text from time to time, so I might just say pause it here. But okay, so the settlement, Terralin, is dying. You must travel to an Elven palace to locate the legendary Waterstone and save your people from the drought. So our objective is find the Water Gem. As you can see, I just can't read all of this, but locate the rumored Elven temple and retrieve the Water Gem for Terralin. Recommended level 2 to 3. So we want to be level 2 to 3 for all of them, all of our characters, when we're getting to our first objective. This is our first objective here. And they're kind of outlined over here. Locate the Elven temple. This will be the second objective, and then there's the third objective, which is the end of the scenario, or the quest. But all these blue text words here, they give a little bit of lore about the text. That's, as the book is unfolding, you'll get to learn about the lore of Trials of Fire, and I find it really great. I love the story that unfolds. It's different every time, even though the quests can be different. You can have a different story that unfolds along the way. There are side quests, there are shops and different enemies along the way, but yeah. So I'm not going to read this. If you want to learn about Terralin, go ahead and pause here. Elves. I mean, we kind of know a little bit about elves, but and the Waterstone. And then the text that happens here. I mean, I've read all of this myself, and this is what brought me to this game. Basically, I love the text, the story that's unfolding. So here we go. Continue. This is a little bit more of the tutorial. So basically, we are moving around the map. When we find these locations with question marks hovering over them, those are locations of events, and it shows some of the outcomes of the events. We use food, shown over here, as a currency for movement and health. Well, We also have healing herbs that can come in handy for certain things. And obsidian is the name for the coins, the currency. Okay. If we click on any one of our people here, we can jump into the inventory. The quality is a number of redraws. Like if we take a hand of cards that we don't like, we can throw as many cards as we want into that discard pile or the shrine, and we can redraw that number of cards. So that means all of the cards that we discarded into the shrine go away. We don't get to use the willpower or the movement or anything like that. And armor is just in addition to what we have for our current hit points. We can find that there's armor here, one. And then we also have items. And each item, as you can see, puts cards into our deck. So these are our normal 9 starting cards that we start off with. Everyone has a different set of cards that they start off with, which is pretty great. He's more magical. The elementalist, Malkin, is more elemental, magical. We have Jarrah, the warrior, is more focused on melee attacks and defense. And then Rastin, the hunter, is focused on range attacks but can come in handy for melee. As you can see, melee attack 2 or range attack 1. Not bad. This is kind of more of an intro video. I apologize if it's mostly talking, but we'll be jumping in here in a second. I just want to show everything so you understand what's going on. We can return to the adventure. It pops right back to the page that we're on. We've done this. Return to the map. Good luck on your journey. We begin the trial. And this is what I love about it. No matter how many times you play this, it's just randomly drawn, this map. Oh, I never actually saw this before. So this is an overview map. Yeah, I've never seen that. So that's pretty cool. But at each of these locations, when you put the cursor over, it says ruins. Travel cost is 4% of the food. Explorer cost is 8%. And then there's a chance for battle, finding equipment, food, and materials. Yeah, so all these locations. We want to travel generally in this direction where the arrow is pointing. That is where our Elven temple that we're trying to look for. Supposedly we're going to find the water gem there. So we'll head out. I say we head in... I say we actually just go a little bit out of our way. It's not going to be too far out of the way. As you explore the destroyed human town under the burning sun, the many shadows surrounding you suddenly move with life of their own. Of course, some lore for human. So we can stay and confront the large group of shadows, which is a hard battle but an epic reward and some food. Or we can leave before the shadows can coalesce. Oh, we're gonna go for them. So the shadows, these are a type of enemy. We're gonna see them from time to time, right? And we generally, I haven't seen it in any other way, but I've heard of these ambushes. I haven't had an ambush yet. But we start here in these 3 locations, and then the enemies will start on this side of the map, of the combat map here. I think first we want to we don't want to swipe, so we'll get rid of that. And then we're going to move up in this direction, I think. Let me see what my other options are. Swipe Wild swing, wild swing. Let's use... I think what we're going to do is just kind of get rid of all of our cards. I'm gonna move up here and just stay right where we are. I'm gonna keep this advanced to maybe move to a different location. We have 4 points to use at the moment. Let's take a power shot. Again, we can see that we can see this one, but we can't see this one. And what's cool is, if I put, where do I see this? If I do this, you'll see that it's 5 damage. But if I put it over here, then it shows why you can't see it. Actually, I'm not seeing... Well, okay, right here you'll see if I hover over this that it turns red. So maybe it's because of this. I'm not sure, but we'll take this shot nonetheless. And every time you play a card that deals range damage, gain 1. We'll use that on. We'll keep these 2 cards for the next round. Skulking. These powers, we can sometimes get them. Okay. Named effects. Named effects are ongoing effects that can help or hinder characters in battle. Named effects are shown in card descriptions in bold, such as burning or exposed. Okay. Let you do that. So the named effect here is stealth. Cannot be targeted by enemies unless they are adjacent. The next time you deal damage, deal +1 damage per stack of stealth and lose stealth. So if they attacked for 2, then it's going to be +2. Don't want to deal with that. So what we want to do is take this out pretty quickly, but we can see that we can't see either of them. So what we'll do is we'll use this to get into melee, or not melee, but to get into range, I guess. And you can't use ranged attack if you are in melee, like if you're adjacent to an enemy. I can already see, I'm going to take that back so I can stand in melee range. Show you, we can attack here for 4, and then we'll get that combo strike that'll kill him. We took 3 swipe cards, okay. Because we are not adjacent to this enemy, then we won't be able to see it. So I think what I'm going to do is just move up. Now I can see it, so I can swipe at it. What I'm going to do is let's put the power pair here, and then I'm going to use swipe just to move up. So combo strikes is what we've already discussed. We talked about that before. Yep. So in this example here, she couldn't perform a combo because she's adjacent to another enemy. So if she's kind of tied up with 2 different enemies, then that won't be able to. She won't be able to perform a combo. But when I do this, you'll see it glows. That's something that I kind of forgot about. But we have melee attack 2. There. We'll do it again, but I want to get a little closer. So we'll use this, and we'll use this to get into range. Now it's not in stealth. Okay. So we can all take shots at it now. We'll take this shot too. So 2 magic damage. It's down to 2 hit points. So it said hard battle, but it's really not that bad. Redraws I talked about before. That's that little number on the cards there. And I almost never use it. I figure out a way to not use it. I think I've used it a couple times just to check it out. But Strike Through is a pretty great card. That now. So Victory. Anytime they go below, I think 10 hit points, that's when they take damage. So something cool is when they level up. We get to do some fun things with this. We can take the food, the money, the obsidian, and then we have a couple weapons here. Let's take those. There's a take all button there as well. And what I like to do first is we'll level up our kind of tank. And what we'll do is, so what we can do is either we can replace a card, okay? So that would take one of these cards out and then we replace it. Or we can upgrade the card by clicking on it here. This would become a move 3 and gain 1 willpower. And you can see if I right click it here, then it will show the upgraded version of that card. So I think what I want to do, we have 4 of these swipes. Let's do something like, let's grab Resilience and we'll replace a swipe with that. Okay, so that's it. I mean, that was a hard battle. I think it was pretty straightforward, but we did pick up a couple items. And this is where I've spent so much time looking at this part. There's a lot of these little icons in these slots. So as long as this icon matches that one of those icons in the slot, then it can go there. So for instance, this can go here and it brings new cards. We can right click on it and it'll drop it there, but the hunter can't use the long axe, basically. Who can is Jarrah. And what we can do here is bring Bone Sword over to this slot because it has that same icon. These swords, one-handed sword, basically. And then there's the Bone Axe that has that two-handed great axe. So we can drop that there. That's going to add charge, move 3 to target, melee attack 2, plus 1 for each move space. That is pretty great. And then there's the Radian Longsword. Melee attack 2, then melee attack 2, and in that case it's going to have a combo attack twice if you can get that. So that's an interesting card. Faint. Adjacent enemy loses 4 defense, then draw a card. May provoke combo strikes. Pretty cool. Critical strike. Melee attack 3, all damage bonus count quadruple. I mean, that's worth it. But as we add more items, our deck size increases, and that can become a problem if you're into keeping your deck sizes thin. But if you want like a thicker deck size, then add as many items as you want, right? But there are ways to mitigate this. You can remove cards from the items and from your hand, from the starting 9 cards. But for now, let's I think what we're going to do here is just leave the Bone Sword off. And another cool thing here is when you put the cursor over it, you can see all of the characters right about here. and all of the slots that's open. Um, there's a little icon with over the blue sword there with like 3 cards and a red triangle pointing down. That means that this will give you less cards than the one that's already in that slot, which would be this. This has 3, this has 2, right? This also increases our quality by 2. That's pretty nice. Instead of, I think, one of these. Oh, that's already there. So there's 9 hit points. She has +3 armor, so she'll have 12 hit points going into the battle. And then any defense cards that she plays. So this is where, I mean, I could spend hours just staring at all of that information. And I have. And it's a lot of fun to build your deck of cards that you're going to use moving from battle to battle. But there are ways to thin it out and remove cards, and there are ways to, and just like in Slay the Spire, again, I won't bring this up all the time, but in Slay the Spire you can upgrade the card. So, peering into the collapsed dwarven building, you can make out a ratling girl, trapped about 18 feet into the structure. She still has a torch with her, but is pinned in a slab of fallen stone. So I'm surprised this one's not blue, but dwarves. And ratlings are basically like humanoid rats. So we can try to climb into the collapsing passage and rescue the trapped ratling. Lower a rope down and try to pull the ratling out, or leave her for her fate. And each, you can see we gain a trait. 50% injury, 50% chance of injury, and 25% chance for reward. Or there's lower a rope down, there's a 50% chance of decision, reward trait, or just trait. I say we go for this one. I'd rather skip the injury. You lower down a rope, and so this is based on that decision. We can. This is basically, I think, the decision, the 50% chance of decision. I think this is what this one is. So you lower down a rope for the trapped ratling, but after a few minutes of pulling and thrashing from the trapped creature, you realize that you are probably doing more harm than good. We definitely don't want to just continue pulling. Let's go for it and hope we don't gain that injury. Jarrah crouches down and heads into the small opening with a rope tied to her waist. She soon reaches the trapped ratling. The rattling girl sheepishly reveals that she has nothing of value with her to reward the rescue. She thanks Jarrah over and over again. Okay, so Jarrah has gained a trait, Selfless. Take 2 unblockable damage, and all friendly heroes draw a card. That's great. That's awesome. So a trait is a permanent addition to your hero's core deck that provides a unique bonus or disadvantage. Alright, so we didn't gain an injury or anything. I'm going to continue until we rest, and I'll show you how that goes. As you walk through the small human settlement, you can clearly see that most of the villagers are starving. Oh, so we can give up some food. We just picked up some food, I think. We can trade for a bunch of obsidian. Let's trade 2. Let's go the middle ground here. 2 for 100 obsidian. It's actually pretty expensive. I think food, when I buy it, is like 35. So as you can see here, we're determined. This is due to our armor, redraws, and epic loot. I don't know too much about that. I'll have to read a little bit more. And then there's our stamina. So We're in civilization. Resting here will restore a large amount of stamina, which is our health points over there. And some health. Oh, sorry, this is stamina. This is health. Sorry about that. And some health for each hero. So we're kind of fine the way we are now. Let's just keep going. I'll show you what happens when we move too far. We'll have another event here. You come across the skeletal remains of a vast creature. Common sight on the grasslands. You spot a burrow opening nearby that looks large enough to crawl into. Ooh, do we want to go in? I mean, we're not desperate for food, but let's go for it. Alright, got some food. We found some obsidian. Found a few objects of value and crawl back, thankfully not meeting anything in the way. So this is a crafting material. And I'll explain what that is when we come across that here in a minute. Pocketed belt. You may hold onto an additional card this turn. At the end of your turn, reduce the cost of all cards in hand by 2. Ooh, okay. That one's pretty cool. So we'll take that. Continue. So there it is, tired. So what we can do here is we can set up camp. And I guess we can click here, right here. And it's going to increase our stamina by 15%. Back here was 35%. And 1 health. At the moment, Jarrah's the only one with reduced health, so we would gain that back. I'm fine just sitting here. We could go back here, but then we'd have to make this trip twice anyway. So let's set up camp. Here's the camp tutorial. So we need a unit of food to get through this camp phase. Okay. Yep. So there's a few things here. All right. We can meditate, heal injury, but we need the magic herbs or mystic herbs in order to do either of them. 2 to remove an injury, but we don't have any injuries to heal. And to meditate, it requires 1 mystic herb, so we don't have any of these. But it basically allows us to upgrade or remove a class card from one of our from a hero. All right. So when that happens, you'll see. We can upgrade an item. Anytime there's an X here, we can't upgrade it. But basically, this needs 2 mithril dust. This needs 2 bones, sturdy bones, to upgrade. And when you upgrade an item, all of the cards that come with it also upgrade. I mean, that's basically what's happening, is that the cards are upgrading. The items and the weapons, typically, they don't really do much after upgrading, and I could be wrong. Maybe something happens, and I just haven't seen it yet. But we don't have any of that, so let's go back. So we're just gonna rest. We've lost a food. Jarrah has gained a health. And we've rested for a little bit, gaining 15% of our stamina. And I think that's where I'm gonna leave it off now. I'll probably still continue, for those who have seen me playing other games before, I'm going to try and continue to stick to like a 45-minute video for this. This was a lot more talking and discussing and showing this new amazing game, but I think it was necessary, and you'll learn more, or you'll understand more as we move forward. I know I typically don't care too much about those first videos, but in this case, I really want to show more. So we'll break camp here, but we'll leave it here. We do have quite a bit of money, obsidian, that we could use if we find a shop. But we're going to continue west toward the Elven Temple and try and find some other events along the way. We only have one level up so far at level 2 with Jarrah. Rastin and Malkin here are at level 1. So we want to be 2 or 3 even for that, for the first part of our quest. Alright. Let's actually see. So you can see this like little sack here, a little item sack. We can put that right there. Malkin doesn't have any items or little sack icons here, but Rastin here has 2. So let's give this to Rastin. This is going to be a pretty interesting card, Biding Time. You may hold on to an additional card this turn. At the end of your turn, reduce the cost of all cards in hand by 2. So if we can get some of these heavier or more expensive cards in the next round after that, or if we hold on to it, then we could use it for free in the next round, and that's pretty. So, okay. So it's now the end. Thanks for stopping in, and I hope to see you next time.